Good morning, Windsor. Pierre Poilievre grew up in Alberta as the adopted son of two school teachers. He learned early on the value of hard work, responsibility, and opportunity, and those values have shaped his public life. As a member of Parliament and minister, he fought to cut taxes, protect taxpayers from waste and corruption, and make life more affordable for Canadian families. But what keeps bringing him back to Windsor is something very personal to him and to this community. He understands that people here don't want government telling them how to live. What they want is the opportunity to work hard, provide for their families, and build something better. Pierre has met our manufacturers and workers, walked our shop floors, talked to them about the future of our manufacturing and auto sector. He understands that Windsor just doesn't talk about building Canada, we actually build it. And this morning, he is here to talk about our workers, our auto industry, and how we build a stronger and more self-reliant Canada. So please join me in welcoming Pierre Poilievre, Leader of the Opposition Conservative Party. Thank you, sir.
Merci beaucoup. Merci beaucoup, Harb. Merci, Cathy Borelli. Et merci, Chris Lewis. Les Canadiens sont tous unis pour défendre nos emplois et le coût de la vie. Nous sommes tous unis pour condamner les tarifs non justifiés des États-Unis et de M. le Président Trump. Nous sommes ici pour mettre le Canada d'abord, mais pour mettre le Canada d'abord, il faut mettre les Canadiens d'abord. Ça semble être quelque chose de très évident, mais laissez-moi expliquer ce que je veux dire. Je parle du vrai monde, les gens qui sont touchés, pour lesquels ce n'est pas un débat, ce n'est pas un drame politique, c'est leur chèque de paie, leur hypothèque, leur enfant, la nourriture sur la table dans la cuisine. J'ai passé 2 jours ici à Windsor, là où les gens seront le plus touchés par les tarifs américains, là où les gens ont souffert tellement les derniers 10 ans. J'ai rencontré hier des travailleurs de l'automobile qui croyaient que ces dernières menaces, en plus que les autres tarifs déjà en place, pourraient enlever leurs emplois. J'ai vu la peur dans leurs yeux. Qu'est-ce qui va arriver avec mon travail? Est-ce qu'on va pouvoir rétablir un accès au marché américain? Ils m'ont demandé. Comment est-ce que je vais payer mon hypothèque? Comment est-ce que je vais payer pour le hockey de mes enfants ou de rester même dans ma maison? Ce n'est pas une question hypothétique, c'est une question tangible dans la vraie vie du vrai monde. C'est pour ça que nous devrions tous nous battre pour enlever les tarifs injustifiables, pour rétablir un libre-échange et pour défendre notre monde. Il faut rappeler que les Canadiens souffrent depuis 10 ans, même avant l'arrivée des tarifs. On a vu le doublement du coût du logement, le doublement du nombre de personnes qui doivent faire recours aux banques alimentaires. Maintenant, on voit déjà le plus grand niveau de l'insolvabilité, c'est-à-dire les gens qui font faillite ou qui sont forcés par les banques de vendre leurs avoirs afin de payer leurs dettes, le plus grand niveau que depuis la grande récession mondiale. On a vu déjà le pire inflation alimentaire aux épiceries. Et maintenant, nous sommes en train de voir les tarifs qui vont aggraver ces problèmes déjà en place. Nous sommes tous d'accord que le Canada doit être uni pour contrer ces tarifs et pour se battre pour ouvrir les marchés américains, soi-disant le marché le plus grand pour le Canada à travers le monde. C'est pour ça que les conservateurs proposent de travailler avec toutes les autres partis afin de se battre pour l'abordabilité, pour les emplois des Canadiens et pour défendre notre pays en rouvrant le Parlement. Aujourd'hui, je vais parler à M. Carney au téléphone et je vais lui demander de rappeler le Parlement pour qu'on puisse travailler sur un plan d'action économique afin de protéger les emplois, réduire le coût de la vie et contrer les tarifs américains. Il y a trois raisons principales pour lesquelles on a besoin d'ouvrir le Parlement. Premièrement, pour avoir la transparence. On veut que le gouvernement publie la proposition d'accord que le Premier ministre et le Président ont déjà vue et que le Premier ministre était en train d'accepter et de supporter avant de soudainement changer d'idée dans les dernières heures des négociations. On a besoin de transparence. On a vu avec l'entente de Gordie Howe que le Premier ministre a dit une chose et lorsqu'on a vu l'entente, c'était le contraire. Donc, on doit savoir c'est quoi la raison pour laquelle le Canada et le Premier ministre étaient d'accord avec cette entente et puis quelles étaient les vraies raisons pour lesquelles il avait besoin de changer d'idée plus tard. Encore, nous ne suggérons pas que les secrets de diplomatie soient mis en public. Ce n'est pas des secrets. C'est des enjeux c'est des textes qui étaient déjà partagés avec les États-Unis et le président Trump. C'est juste les Canadiens qui ne l'ont pas vu. Deuxièmement, le Parlement doit examiner le vrai coût des politiques que le Premier ministre propose d'imposer. Dans son discours il y a quelques jours, le Premier ministre a dit que les tarifs, et je cite, « les tarifs sont les taxes ». Alors, quel sera l'impact des mesures de rétorsion sur les factures d'épicerie, le prix de l'essence, le coût des biens et des services si le Premier ministre applique les tarifs qu'il propose? Aujourd'hui, il va proposer des contre-tariffs. Il doit expliquer combien ça va augmenter le coût de la vie pour les familles, les aînés et les travailleurs, pour qu'on puisse faire un vrai jugement de quel est dans l'intérêt des Canadiens et du vrai monde qui paient déjà trop cher. Combien de plus les familles devront-elles payer? Et où est-ce que les revenus de tarifs iront? Troisièmement, ça prend un plan, un vrai plan, pas des petits changements administratifs avec des grands discours et des grandes annonces et des photos, mais un vrai plan pour contrer les tarifs et pour protéger les emplois des Canadiens. Et un plan d'action économique, un plan qui doit être pour lequel on doit avoir un débat à la Chambre des communes. Nous, les conservateurs, proposons des mesures concrètes pour stimuler notre économie qui était en récession. Notre économie a déjà été la pire dans le G7, avec le deuxième pire niveau de chômage dans le G7, le pire inflation alimentaire du G7 et le pire endettement des familles dans le G7. Donc, il faut un vrai plan pour changer des choses. Les gestes concrets que les conservateurs vont proposer dans le plan d'action économique comprend l'élimination de l'impôt sur les gains en capital pour les réinvestissements au Canada, pour encourager l'investissement privé de retourner au Canada pour bâtir des choses et engager les travailleurs. L'annulation de la taxe sur l'essence et diesel d'ici le 1er juillet afin de réduire le coût de la vie et encourager le transport de nos biens, nos services et nos parties économiques. L'annulation des lois anti-développement C-69 et C-48 et le feu vert immédiat pour les 500 projets économiques qui attendent une approbation fédérale. L'élimination de la taxe carbone industrielle pour l'acier, l'aluminium, les engrais, le ciment et d'autres éléments nécessaires pour bâtir une économie industrielle et l'abolition de la TPS pour ceux qui achètent des véhicules faits au Canada pour encourager les Canadiens d'acheter des véhicules faits à Windsor, à Oshawa, à Brampton et ailleurs. Le Premier ministre doit prendre des vraies actions, pas des gestes administratifs, pas des photo-ops, pas des promesses pour des choses qui vont arriver en 5 ou 10 ans. On a vu beaucoup d'illusions, il faut maintenant de vraies actions. Le Premier ministre avait promis qu'il était capable de gérer Trump, qu'il allait négocier une victoire, qu'il allait avoir une entente le 21 juillet 2025. Maintenant, un an et demi après son arrivée au pouvoir, les tarifs américains sont beaucoup plus élevés et beaucoup plus larges. Il faut se battre pour le Canada. C'est pour ça que nous proposons de rappeler le Parlement, de travailler ensemble pour tous les partis, pour que tous les partis puissent collaborer dans l'intérêt de notre pays. Nous, les conservateurs, nous allons toujours mettre le Canada d'abord, c'est-à-dire les travailleurs, les familles, les consommateurs. C'est ça, supporter notre pays, c'est ça le patriotisme et c'est ça notre priorité. Nous voulons un Canada qui est autosuffisant, qui est abordable et qui est sécuritaire et nous sommes prêts à retourner au Parlement pour réaliser ces objectifs dès maintenant. Merci beaucoup et mettons le Canada d'abord. Thank you very much everyone for being here now in English. Canadians must stand united. United in putting our country first, united for our workers, our consumers, our families. We must stand united in condemning the unjustified tariffs by President Trump, and we must stand united for the many people who are now afraid for their jobs and their livelihoods. I've spent the last 2 days here at ground zero of the trade dispute right here in Windsor, Ontario, the industrial backbone of our country. I met with auto workers, mold makers, and countless other trades, small business owners. They feed their families with their relentless hard work. And we must judge all of our actions in this trade dispute by one measuring stick. What are the results for the people, for the workers, for the families, for the seniors across this country? Many of the workers I met with here in Windsor were afraid. They're worried. I met with one auto worker yesterday who said, "Will I still have a job?" I saw fear in his eyes. How is he going to pay his mortgage? How is he going to pay for his kid's hockey registration? What if he loses his job? How far away will he have to move? What conversation will he have to have with his children at the dinner table if he has to tell them that they're selling the house, they're leaving and changing schools, and moving to a far away place so that they can pay their bills? Our people have suffered enough over the last 10 years. Raging inflation has made it impossible for many to afford groceries. Single mothers are forced to turn back items at the grocery checkout because their bank accounts empty before their grocery carts do. An entire generation of youth is shut out of home ownership as we have the most expensive housing in the G7. And then there's the people who have to empty their bank to fill up their tank because of high gas prices. Factories have moved south. Jobs have left the country. 30 mills have already closed in British Columbia. The people who used to donate to our food banks are now forced to take donations because they can't pay their bills. And now the highest number of insolvencies since the Great Global Recession means that families are literally selling their homes and assets to pay their mortgages as they toss a turn at night wondering if they might have to declare bankruptcy. And when tariffs strike automotive plants, mold-making businesses, they force layoffs. It is moms and dads going home to tell their kids that they'll have to say goodbye to their friends. It is communities that shut down. It is people that suffer. In all the noise and the drama, we cannot forget that we are talking about people's lives, their jobs, their cost of living, their paychecks. Everything we do, everything must be focused on protecting their jobs and cost of living. That is what Conservatives are focused on. And that is why later today I'll be talking with the Prime Minister on the phone, and I'll be asking him to recall Parliament for a real economic plan to protect jobs and lower the cost of living for people as we go through this difficult time. Conservatives are ready to join with all parties to lock arms and fight for affordability, for jobs, and for the country that we love. We need real action in Parliament, and there are reasons why we cannot wait. Parliament has work to do. First, Canadians deserve to know what is the deal that the Prime Minister at first planned to accept and then later decided to reject. Release the proposed text. Let's be clear, there are no national secrets in that text. It's already been shown to the United States administration. The President has seen it, his negotiators have seen it, the United States has seen it. Canadians deserve to see it. We're asking him to release the details of what was proposed in that agreement so that we can find out both what our government was fighting to achieve and what the Americans were demanding and what it is that was unacceptable and required we walk away. Transparency is essential, especially important after the government gave false information about the Gordie Howe Bridge. The truth only became known after the agreement was released. Canadians deserve to know what was on the table so all of us can know what we are fighting for and what we are fighting against. Second, we asked the Prime Minister today to reveal the cost to individual families of his proposed counter-tariffs. He said the other day that tariffs are taxes. That is a quote. So what will the retaliatory tariffs mean for grocery bills, gas prices, and the cost of everyday goods? How much more will families have to pay? And where will the tariff revenues go? Canadians are already spending more on taxes than on food, clothing, and shelter combined. They cannot afford to pay more for groceries, gas, and housing. And so we want the Prime Minister to lay out very clearly what are the costs and how will Canadian families be made whole. We need to focus on the affordability of the bills that Canadians pay, and that takes information in Parliament and action by all parties in that chamber. Third, we are calling for the introduction of a new economic action plan to jolt Canada's stalled economy, make life more affordable, and protect the jobs of Canadians in this escalating tariff dispute. Let's be clear, we cannot have any more tinkering, administrative adjustments, all wrapped in big speeches and fancy announcements. We need real action. Canadians have been suffering even before this latest escalation. The only economy in the G7 to be in a recession. The slowest growth in the G7. 5 consecutive quarters of falling investment since this Prime Minister took office. We have the largest number of insolvencies since the Great Global Recession, and a massive increase at the food banks. All of this was before the latest round of tariff escalation. We need real action right now. And that's why Conservatives will put forward an economic action plan in Canada's Parliament. It will include removing all capital gains tax on reinvestments in Canada to bring back the over $1 trillion that has fled our economy over the last decade, canceling gas and diesel taxes until at least Canada Day 2027 to save families $1,000 and to make it more affordable for our businesses to transport goods and reach markets. Scrapping anti-development laws like C-69 and C-48, which remain in place, and greenlighting the 500 projects that are awaiting federal approval right now. Many of them have been waiting for years. Get the government out of the way, permit those projects, and get people building. Scrap the industrial carbon tax on steel, aluminum, fertilizer, concrete, cement, oil, gas, and other basic essentials that are building blocks of a modern economy so that we can reindustrialize rather than deindustrialize. We need to also support our auto sector by encouraging Canadians to buy Canadian cars. And that one way the government can help is let's take the GST off all Canadian-made automobiles. And I send the message out to my fellow Canadians. Buy Canadian. Look at the label. Make sure that the things you're buying have as much Canadian content as humanly possible. Support your fellow workers and stand up for our country. We all need to do that, of all parties. We need to join together in a spirit of Canada first. Now, the Prime Minister promised that he'd have a deal with the U.S. by July 21st, 2025. He said that he could negotiate a win and handle President Trump. He said he would get an even better deal than we had before he came to office. A year and a half after those promises, tariffs are higher than ever, and we have far larger, wider tariffs on many more goods. Making a series of preemptive concessions, expecting to get generosity at the bargaining table was not the right move. Only using our leverage will do that. And Conservatives have a real plan to employ our leverage to fight these tariffs. We have the resources that the United States needs. We can commit to building up a strategic mineral and energy reserve that will be only available to those countries that give our country tariff-free access. We can also use our massive military spending as a point of leverage. We can push for a 1965-style auto pack, which ultimately built the auto sector in Detroit, Windsor, Oshawa, and countless other places. We can do that to repatriate production back to our countries. That is a real plan to fight for tariff-free access, but it means pulling together, proposing solutions, and also demanding accountability for our people. Our mission is an economy that is affordable at home, autonomous at home, and strong at home, with stronger take-home pay, safer streets, and a secure border within a self-reliant Canada. Conservatives are ready to do the work. Let's get back to Parliament, and let's fight for affordability, let's fight for our jobs, and let's fight for Canada. Thank you very much.
Thank you. We'll now take questions from reporters. Please identify yourself and your outlet.
Okay, sorry, didn't know I was first. Oh, hi, Maureen with Blackburn News. You talk about scrapping carbon tax. Are we scrapping all climate protections in favor of getting the economy going?
Well, the industrial carbon tax is not a climate protection, it is a tax. It's a money grab that simply weighs down our steel, aluminum, autos, and other core industries. The Americans don't have that tax. The Europeans are exempting heavy industry from that tax. The Chinese economy doesn't pay that tax. So it doesn't help the environment to drive production out of our economy into hostile overseas economies by taxing our industry into the ground. What we need to do is reduce the governmental costs for our industry so that they can actually compete while bringing home the investment and jobs for our people. So no, this is not about the environment. The industrial carbon tax has nothing to do with the environment. It is a cash grab that kills jobs for our people and drives up the costs for our consumers.
Good morning, Rob Hindi from AM 800. Just want to get your thoughts. You talked about how you talked to a worker yesterday. I guess overall, what would your message be to the people of Windsor, Essex?
We're going to fight for you. We have an incredible group of members of Parliament here. Harb Gill, a former police officer who's been fighting for this community his whole life. Kathy Borelli, lifelong Windsor resident, who has lived the story of the great immigrant families from Italy who came and literally built Windsor, and Chris Lewis from the Essex County, who's been fighting for the people in that region all along. We will fight for you. We're going to fight for your job, and we will not relent. Canada needs a thriving automotive sector as part of our economic security, but also our national security. And so we've got a real plan to save and grow our auto sector, taking sales taxes off of Canadian-made automobiles so our people buy Canadian, fighting for a tariff-free auto pack, stopping the backdoor EV mandate, getting rid of the industrial carbon tax, lowering the cost of energy on production. All of those things will make it possible for us to compete and for our incredible auto workers to keep their jobs and grow their paychecks. Sorry,
Good morning.
Follow up? Let's let this fella finish up here.
Sorry, one more. Just yesterday, Premier Doug Ford made some comments. Just want to get your thoughts on, I guess, premiers making comments about what's going on.
Well, we all got to band together and fight for Canada. Regardless of our level of government or our party affiliation, we're all in this together to fight for the Canadian economy and its people. So, everything I do is focused on the jobs and the cost of living of Canadians. Every utterance I make and every policy we put forward should be about protecting the jobs and making life affordable for the hardworking Canadians who have suffered enough. Thank you, sir.
Good morning, Bob Belichico, CTV. Just wondering how fast can Parliament reconvene? And then two, is how important is it for both sides of the aisle to unite in this time of crisis, I guess?
Look, I think unity is important. Let me start with your first question. The Parliament could be reconvened in a couple of days, and I'm speaking to the Prime Minister. What is it now? Well, I don't know what time it is, but it's at 8:30, so that's why I'm a bit crunched to wrap up a little bit early today. But I'll be speaking with him and reiterating to him that we all need to put Canada first. We're all fierce competitors in the political arena, but we're also believers in our country. And so we will be there to fight for jobs and fight for an affordable cost of living for our people. Parliament could be recalled in 24 to 48 hours. We're happy to cooperate with the government to get that done, because at the end of the day, it's about putting our country first.
Thank you. This concludes today's press conference.
All right. Thanks very much, everyone. Great to be with you.